let's come into our yoga practice today. So relaxing in yoga, asana number 1, which is Shavasana. So we're just closing our eyes, having a few slow breaths in through the nose, out through the nose. And we're just noticing today how our breath is. So having one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest, so one hand just above the navel, the other hand just below the clavicles, the collarbones. And then just notice if your chest is rising and falling. Now, if your chest isn't moving very much, you may be sort of doing something called inefficient breathing, which is, not really breathing as much as you could into the upper chest. Now, the upper chest doesn't move that much, but it should be moving a bit. And the lower hand should be moving as we're breathing more fully. And again, if it's not if it's not moving okay, it's usually called upper chest breathing. So if we're just breathing into the top of the chest, not the lower hand, it's usually called upper chest breathing. So to correct that, we could breathe into the lower hand, upper hand, and breathe out lower hand, upper hand. Well, sometimes it only takes a few breaths just to correct that. But if we've been doing this for a long time, sometimes we need to think about doing this for a little while, or doing it, every evening before we go to bed or something, just so we can breathe more deeply. Lots of things can affect the way we breathe. So allowing our breath to get back to a full breath. Now the next thing, have the hands on the sides of the ribs and see if they're moving when you breathe. So of course the sides of the ribs, why are they moving at all? Why do the ribs move? And of course it's because the lungs are inflating, and this is why the ribs are moving. But there's another reason why the lower ribs move, and it's because we've got this flat muscle called the diaphragm, and it's just below the ribs. So as we breathe in, it flattens, and as we breathe out, it domes up. So as we breathe out, breathe in, it flattens. As we breathe out, it domes. And because it's attached to the ribs, it's bringing the ribs in and out when we're breathing with our breathing muscle. And this is called diaphragmatic breath. Okay, so it's our diaphragm muscle. So if you're not really using that muscle to breathe, maybe you're a bit of an upper chest breather, so we could breathe into the hands, push them away, and breathe out, push the ribs back in. Now sometimes it helps to keep the belly tight and just to concentrate on pushing the ribs out to the side and then press them in a little bit, breathe out. That's it. So the feeling is the ribs are moving sideways and in. I'm exaggerating it, but this is the kind of movement. They're going out to the side and in again, like fish gills. And again, this might be very easy for you to correct if you're doing upper chest breathing, or you may have to do this for a little bit to get this going. Okay. Now let the arms just rest by the side and just let your breath be natural, in breath and out breath. And then just try and notice, or not notice, but count really. See if you can count your in-breath, in and out breath out. Now make sure we're not forcing or changing the breath. How many seconds does it take to breathe in? And how many seconds does it take to breathe out? Now, even breathing's okay. But if you're breathing in more than you're breathing out, so say you're breathing in for 6 and breathing out for 4, this is generally termed over-breathing. Because in an ideal world, we want the out-breath to be longer than the in-breath. So again, once we're aware of what we're doing, we could breathe in for 4, breathe out for 6. In for 4, out for 6. And like I said before, you know, maybe this is easy to do. We can do it in a few breaths. Maybe it takes a while because this is an old habit. You know, old habits die hard, as the cliche goes, but it's true really. And sometimes we have to spend a bit more time to override those old habits to get, well, not override them really, but just to release them so we're back to our natural pattern. Okay, now the other thing is, as we breathe in, is it smooth as we breathe in and as we breathe out? Sometimes people have this little thing called a catch. So as you breathe in, they're like, there's a little catch at the end of the in-breath. And this is called breath holding, where the out-breath seems more difficult to initiate. But again, if we notice that we're doing this, we could breathe in and smoothly, straight away breathe out slowly. So you can see from what I've been saying that a lot of this is coming from our awareness. Once we're aware of what we're doing, then we can implement changes. Get back to some good habits. Good, so we've covered upper chest breathing, we've covered shallow breathing, breath holding, and we're just going to think for the last few moments about whether we're breathing, when we're breathing in, does our belly go up or down? Okay, hopefully the belly is moving. But as we breathe in, does the belly go up or down? And as we breathe out, does the belly go up or down? So as good yoga students, you probably know which way it's going to go. Because we have worked with this before in yoga classes, but you know, if you're in a stuck pattern, you know, you may be breathing in and pulling your belly in, and as you're breathing out, you may be pushing your belly out. Okay, this is reverse breathing. Because good breathing habit is to breathe in, the belly expands, breathe out, it contracts. So if you want to think of it like a balloon, inhale, it expands, exhale, it's contracting. That's right. Good. And then finally, we're breathing through our nose. Just through our nose. Mouth closed, even when we're walking, even when we're climbing stairs. And if we don't know if we're mouth breathers, we could ask our family or friends, you know, saying, do you ever see me with my mouth open, or am I breathing through my nose all the time? Okay, so breathing through your nose, you've got little hairs in your nose called cilia, and they filter the air, they filter out dust, viruses, all this kind of thing, they sort of filter. And then further up in your nose, you've got the little caverns, they're called turbinates, where the air goes and it swirls around, it warms up in those turbinates, and it goes into the lungs. So it kind of, the air is prepared by the nose for the lungs. It's fantastic, isn't it? It's like having your own little helper, you know, who's like, oh, cleaning the air, warming the air, oh, it's ready now, you know. But if we breathe through the mouth, of course, there's nothing like that going on, which is why it's important to breathe through your nose. Now, noses get stuffed up, and that's one reason, but the more we breathe through our nose, the less stuffed up they're supposed to get, okay? But do what you can. So think about the breathing practices this week and see if you can catch yourself doing anything that's not such a good habit and get into better breathing habits, okay? So I hope this has helped you.